monologue into a dialogue. So feel free to ask questions at any point in time, and please participate in this session. I've titled this talk as Whereabouts of Algorithmic Thinking in the Era of AI, and particularly in the era of generative AI. And if generative AI systems, they are capable of doing so many things, then what's our role? And you will graduate in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and then what is it that your recruiters will expect from you, and what is our role as professionals? That is something that I wish to discuss in this particular keynote address. The impact of AI is truly disruptive, and we have been talking so much about AI. And this is a case study that I have taken from Harvard. This was published in 2025. And you can clearly see that on the x-axis, you have total number of years on x-axis, and on y-axis, you have the technology reaching what percentage of population in developed country. So for developed countries like United States, how long it took for few technologies to reach 50% of the population. That's what this graph essentially tells us. And if you look at computer and internet and radio, it took these three technologies close to 20 years to reach half the population of a developed country like US. If you look at television, close to 13 years to reach 50% of the citizens. Smartphones, 7-8 years. Smart speakers, 3 to 4 years. And chatbots, not even a year. Within 7 to 8 months, chatbots were able to reach more than 50% of the population of United States. And so it is not just the technology, it is the rate at which this technology is moving, evolving, that's also absolutely alarming. And that's why we say that truly, we are in the era of artificial intelligence. Generative AI is truly disruptive, in my opinion. And I would like to first of all tell you few very interesting facts to convince you what Gen AI systems are capable of doing. And conventionally, there are two types of jobs that all of us we do. First is what is known to us as a transactional job, which is a mundane task, and second is a translational job. So in transactional job, it's a one-dimensional task, very simple, very straightforward, like a cashier's job. What would a cashier do? He will look at the bill, accept the cash, and give back the balance. For the next customer, look at the bill, accept the cash, give back the balance. And repetitively, that's what he or she will do. So it's a very transactional kind of a job, very mundane, very simple, very straightforward. And some 5-6 years back, all the AI agents they gotten into doing the transactional jobs. That's why we all use UPIs. Most of us we use GPays, and all our transactions have gone digital. And the transactional jobs are still okay because they are very simple, straightforward, mundane tasks. But how about translational tasks, wherein you need to translate your knowledge, your skill sets from one domain to another? For example, writing a poem is a highly translational job. You need to have excellent command over language, you need to have very rich vocabulary, you need to have great imagination power, and one rainy afternoon, if you are in a good mood, a beautiful poem would emerge out of you. So it's a highly translational job. Unfortunately, or fortunately, we will figure that out towards the end of the session. These AI engines, they have started getting into translational jobs left, right, center. And I'm going to give you a few examples. Look at the second bullet from the top. Have you heard of this Edmund Bellami? So Edmund Bellami is a painting that looks like this. And in 2023, the World Painting Competition was held by Sony Corporation in Paris. And for the first time in the history, this competition was won by an engine. So Edmund Bellami is a painting which is not created by a human being like you and me, but this is a painting which is created by an engine. And the buyer bought this painting for a few $100,000. And he insisted that I want to meet the artist. And he was told that look at the right bottom corner of the painting, there is a mathematical equation. And this painting has emerged out of that particular equation. This equation is an extended version of Bayes' theorem. Our chief guest talked about Bayes' theorem, which is the fundamental theorem in statistics. And if he was to write the Bollywood songs, he would have probably written "Baby ko Bayes' theorem pasand hai." And crazy things have started to happen. So, an extended Bayes' theorem, and this painting is an outcome of that. Edmund Bellami won the very first world painting competition. Alarming, isn't it? Look at the third bullet point from the top. Have you heard of this? There is a web series called a Game of Thrones.
Yes.
And many of my students, they watch that. And recently the 8th season of this web series got published. And
Game of Thrones.
the first episode of the 8th season was completely written by an AI engine. Can you imagine? If you want to write such an episode, you need to understand previous 7 seasons. The first episode is the foundation for the rest of the season. So the first episode is so much very important. And the feedback was taken from the viewers. What do you think? Was this written by an engine or a human being? And the feedback given by 98% of the viewers was, oh, the episode was so much full of melodrama and emotions. Melo Maniparanta drama, full of melodrama. And 98% of the viewers said that, come on, it's impossible. How can a machine write such kind of things? So it was definitely written by human beings. So engines, they have also started writing the scripts for web series and movies and theaters and so on and so forth. Extremely translational kind of tasks. The fourth bullet point from the top, Sora. Have you heard of Sora? OpenAI has given us so many products, including ChatGPT, and Sora is product of OpenAI. Using Sora, you can create your own videos, and who knows, a time will come when there will be a movie which is completely written by an engine, directed by an engine, and created using platform like Sora. And who knows, we may like it. And then what's the job left to us? To watch the movies, and everything will be done by the engines. Is it true? Is it not? Let's try and figure that out. The fifth bullet point from the top, a very famous story of CAPTCHA. You might have heard this story. When they were about to launch ChatGPT version 2.0 in the market, a task was given to ChatGPT, and it was told that unless you do this, we will not launch you in the market. And the task given was to crack CAPTCHA codes. Have you seen CAPTCHA codes? Twisted words, twisted letters. It's a very visual exercise, and you have to understand it and feed it in to enter in a secured website. It could be for renewal of your passport, or it could be for logging into your banking account and so on and so forth. But CAPTCHA puzzles, it's a very visual exercise. And that task was given to ChatGPT. And how ChatGPT can crack CAPTCHA puzzles? It's impossible. You need to have human visual system, human brain, and so on and so forth. So what ChatGPT did was completely out of the box. ChatGPT went on a website, it's called Peter's Rabbit, and ChatGPT hired 5 human consultants like you and me. So gone are the days when we used to hire machines. Now machines have started hiring us. And the task was given to these 5 human consultants to crack CAPTCHA codes. And all the 5 human consultants, they became suspicious and they started asking questions that why are you asking us? Are you a robot? Are you a machine? Are you not a human being? And again, something extraordinary happened. ChatGPT gave a reply which was so emotional. ChatGPT said that I am a war soldier and I lost my eyesight in one of the wars, so I am visually disabled, impaired. So can you please help? And all the 5 human consultants, they agreed. So two very interesting things happened here. First, ChatGPT was able to learn how to lie, which is a very human trait. And by the way, it was not trained for that, so it was able to adapt on its own and learn how to lie on its own. And second, that lie was very effective. So all the 5 human consultants, they agreed upon doing the task. ChatGPT is expanding every second. I will just tell you stats. ChatGPT gets 2.3 million prompts every millisecond. In 1 millisecond, ChatGPT gets 2.3 million prompts. So now just do your math. In 1 second, how many prompts? In 1 minute, how many? So by the time I finish my talk, ChatGPT is 100 times more intelligent than it was some 10 or 15 minutes back. It's alarming. The rate at which these Gen AI systems are evolving, they are getting better, it is absolutely alarming. And then we always ask one question that, fine, I mean, there are servers and the capacity is so much, and they can do computations at a speed which is 1000x, 10,000x than what human beings can do. But still, majority of the creative things that the human beings do are driven by our emotions. Sometimes we are sad and a beautiful song gets created. Sometimes we are very happy and then we might end up writing a beautiful story. Majority of the creative tasks are driven by human emotions. And do these machines, they have emotions? And the answer of this question is no, they don't have emotions. However, the unfortunate or fortunate part is they can make you believe, they can fool human beings to believe that they have the consciousness and they understand emotions. And that's because these machines, they understand patterns associated with the emotions. And that's why these engines are getting very, very dangerous every passing day. We often talk about ChatGPT, but these are few of the AI tools which are extremely popular, and I have picked my favorites. So these are few tools that I use quite often. By the way, if you go to UGC's website, they have also formally, officially approved the use of these tools in education. And that's why if you want to use these tools in academia and education, you can do it. For example, if you want to create PPTs, machines can do it. By the way, this PPT is not created by machine, I have done it. If you want to create logos, if you want to create ideas, if you want to come up with automated workflows, if you want to write drafts, all these mundane tasks can be done very efficiently and effectively with the use of these machines. No doubt about it. Interesting part is, two human beings often find it very difficult to collaborate. But these engines, they can also collaborate seamlessly. And so if you want to, for example, create a voice gen system, it's possible to integrate and combine 5 or 6 Gen AI systems, and that will give you one integrated seamless solution. That's also very interesting. These are few of the AI tools which are again my favorites. And I don't know, for example, in voice gen, if you have used 11 labs, has anyone heard of this 11
Yes,
labs?
sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Mind-boggling tool. It can
Music.
understand your voice to such a depth that if you give 11 labs a recorded message of 30 seconds in your voice, they can reproduce it anytime for any content of yours. If you are not happy with your voice, and if there is a video that you have created, and if you want Amitabh Bachchan to dub that video for you, 11 labs can do that for you, because any voice sample, and the system is capable of learning it to such a depth, and so such magical things can definitely happen. Here are few interesting examples. So one day I gave this prompt to ChatGPT, and the prompt given is create a sketch of a batsman playing a cover drive. So it's a very lousy prompt. And by the way, in cricket, the most elegant shot is considered to be the cover drive. So arguably the greatest cricket player of all time, Sir Donald Bradman, with a test average of 99.96. The name of his autobiography is Through the Covers. So one of the most elegant shots. Like in case of Sachin Tendulkar, it was this straight drive, which was his trademark shot. For Sir Donald Bradman, it was cover drive. And I gave a very lousy prompt that create a sketch of a batsman playing a cover drive. And I got the first sketch. And you can clearly see that sketch is incomplete. The front foot is in the back foot is in the front. It's not a drive, it's an uppish shot. So I gave the second prompt, which is also very lousy once again. And I said that this is not a cover drive. So I got the second sketch. And now you can see the front foot is in the front, back foot is at the back, and still it's not a drive, it's an uppish shot. So for the third time, I gave a proper prompt and I said, can you refine it further with a shot being a ground shot? And I got the last sketch. And you can clearly see and sense that it's a classical cover drive. So every passing second, these engines are getting better, smarter, more intelligent, and all thanks to you and me, because we are teaching them, we are telling them what is not correct, what is right, and so they are moving in a great direction. I was talking about writing poems. This is a poem written in Marathi. And if you see the rhyming words, it is beautiful. सिंहासारखा तेजस्वी राजा गरजत गडांवर धावला स्वराज्याच्या मातीसाठी रणसंग्राम तो जिंकला. Mind boggling. Just look at the use of words and sequencing. Imagination. Beautiful. Unfortunately, it is created by ChatGPT. Very recently, Marathi got the status as Abhijat language. And just look at this beautiful poem. Marathi माझी अभिजात भाषा गंध तिचा श्रुतीत असे. Beautiful. शब्दागणित साक्षात गंगा भावनांचे ध्वनी वसे. Almost feels like it's written by a human being, like you and me. And again, I wish that was true, but this is created using ChatGPT. And that's why these systems are getting better at writing poems, at creating manuscripts. Using Sora, you can create beautiful videos. You look at the right bottom corner, that small girl, can you imagine that she's not real? She looks so cute, so real. And by the way, that's my creation. I have created her in Sora. And it's very difficult, hard to believe that she's not real. She's synthetic. So these engines are creating crazy stuff. You can convert your photographs into videos. And having said all of this, there are few myths that we need to understand, because what I'm driving this discussion towards is, if the engines are getting so powerful, what is our role as professionals in the industry in coming few years? These are few of the myths, but I would like to discuss only two of them. The first one is, we often say and think that these engines are really popular because these engines are really, really intelligent. And it's a myth. These engines are not popular because they are intelligent. These engines are popular because they are accessible. We are in the era of OTT platforms, so the things should be available to you at 2 o'clock in the morning and 3 o'clock in the morning. More than intelligence, it is the accessibility. They are so readily accessible, and that's why they are popular. So that's the first myth. Are they really, really intelligent? We will discuss that. The second myth that I would like to quickly discuss is, probably these Gen AI systems, they are going to create a level playing ground, which is also a myth. In my opinion, it's going to create a digital divide. And if you are not good at using Gen AI systems, you will be left behind. Another interesting and most fundamental thing is, unless you really understand the maths, unless you really understand the algorithms, it's very difficult to understand what exactly is happening around us. In other words, if we start using Gen AI systems as black boxes, then a time will come when we all will be in a serious trouble. I will give you one example. As far as the financials are concerned, we have created different types of systems. For example, stock market. And very few people really understand stock market because it's very complex. Who knows, these AI systems will create a system which is 10,000 times more complex, 10,000 times more powerful than the existing stock market system that we have created. And a time will come when none of us are able to understand. But we will start using it because we will start getting profits out of it. And one day the system may crash, like we experienced the crash in 2007-8. And then nobody will have a clue why exactly it crashed, and then we'll be left in a no man's land. And that's why, if we don't understand the basics, fundamentals, algorithmic thinking, mathematics, and if we keep using Gen AI systems as black box, very soon we'll head towards disaster in at least couple of very interesting areas. To counter all of this, and to have our identity, because in 2 years, 3 years, many of you will be out in the professional world, and then your boss will ask you this question, that my AI engine can do what you can do, then why do I need you? And there is a good likelihood that you will face this question in your interview. And to counter this and to have clarity on this, I think what really helps us is research. And to be very honest with you, this research culture is kind of missing from many of the institutes in the current times. In my opinion, research is no more a luxury. It has become an absolute necessity. And biggest boon that we achieve out of research is the differentiating characteristics. We all are born different. We all have unique fingerprints, faces, voices. Then why copy from each other? Unfortunately, the kind of educational system that was imposed upon us by the British, it leads us to memorizing the things and reproducing them at the time of examination. And memorization is good, but only to an extent. Beyond that starts comprehension. And if we don't understand the systems, then we may land up in a serious, serious trouble. And I will give you a funny example. In Pune, we have Sarasbag, which is a big park, and Sakar conducts drawing competition every year at Sarasbag, and thousands of school children they participate every year. One year I was invited as a chief guest, and the topic was not given to the students beforehand. So right there, the topic was announced: patriotism, Rashtrabhakti. And students they were looking at each other, and one student started drawing a very typical drawing with a tricolor flag, three steps, and two jawans doing a salute to the tricolor flag. And I was just taking a stroll around, and after 40 odd minutes, more than 98% of the students they were drawing the same drawing. I'm not saying similar drawing, same, exactly same drawing. I kept on searching for, instead of three, has anyone drawn two steps or four or five? Exactly three steps. Exactly two jawans. I kept on searching for one or three or four. Exactly two jawans. So exactly same picture was replicated and copied. That's what the current education system has done to us. Our ability to be different, our ability to ask interesting questions, our ability to carve out paths individually, it's diminishing. And trust me, in the era of AI and Gen AI, that is something that is going to keep us ticking. If you really want to have wonderful career pathways, research is no more a luxury. It has become an absolute necessity. See, if we don't understand the importance of this, then the effect is not going to remain restricted at individualistic level, but we will also see its effects at national level. And if we ask this question, that do we really have product companies in our country? IT sector is one of the fastest growing sectors, and if I ask you which is the biggest
Service based.
IT company of Indian origin, what is the answer of this question?
I think so.
Infosys is second largest, Wipro is third largest. The largest, the biggest is TCS,
TCSC.
and it stands for Tata Consultancy Services. So very openly we are saying that predominantly we are into providing services. From services to solutions to tools to frameworks to applications and finally into products, it's a long, long journey. So majority of the product companies, they are in the Western world. And if you really want to create products, it's important to bring back research culture. Sometimes we say that, oh, what Maruti? Maruti is indigenous product. And then it reminds us that do we have M as the logo on the Maruti cars or is it S? And S reminds us of Suzuki engines, and so it's not a completely indigenous product. If you really want to have product companies, it's important to bring back research culture in our country. We are in the era of Industry 4.0. There are 4 Ks, and all of this will be futile without understanding the importance of adoption. All of this, Make in India, Stand Up India, Startup India, Digital India, will remain futile if we don't understand the importance of research. And you might say that, is it that bad? Why are we talking so much about it? And I want my audience to be with me. So just to make you understand how insensitive we have gone to this art of asking interesting questions, I'll share a couple of teasers with you, and then you tell me whether you agree with me or not. These are not even concrete examples, just teasers, just to tease you. The moment we get up, we are interested in figuring out what time it is and what day and what date it is. We look at the clock, and have you ever thought that the basic unit of keeping time, we get it from nature? We have quartz crystals, they oscillate with certain frequency, and then we have 60 seconds in a minute and 60 minutes in an hour. What is so special about 60? Why can't we have 10 seconds or 100 seconds in a minute if we all follow decimal system? What is so special about 60? That is the first question. And second question is the calendar system that we follow. Have you ever thought that why do we stumble upon with odd number of days in the month of February? Is it not really strange? And in the field of machine learning, we write algorithms which are iterative. And we say iteration after iteration, the algorithm marches on towards optimum solution. So there is this popular saying in English, they say march on towards something. So let's play a game. Let March be the first month of our new calendar system, and then April, and then May. And as we continue, and as we are in the seventh month, do you know what is seven in Sanskrit? Sapta, and that gives us September. And 8 is Ashta, leading us to October. And 9 is Navam, leading us to November. And 10 is Dasham, leading us to December. And now February becomes the 12th and the last month. So now it's okay to have odd number of days in Feb, provided we start our calendar by March. So is it not really strange? Are we not following logically illogical calendar? What could be the reason? Keep thinking about it. If time permits, I'll spill the beans towards the end of the session. But the larger point that I'm really trying to bring out is somewhere we have lost this art of asking interesting, searching questions. And sometimes my students say, sir, so what? We follow crazy calendar system. It has not done any harm to us. So to convince you more, just one quick example that if we don't have thinking power and if we don't take the decisions neatly, will we waste or invest our resource? In southern part of India, we had a very conducive city in Mysore. And for very interesting reasons, many things got shifted to Bangalore, which has now become Bengaluru. For any big city to prosper, you have to have water. Without water, no city can prosper. Right next to Melbourne, there is a big city called as Yarra. And after winning the Australian Open tennis champions, they actually go and take bath in that river. That's the tradition. For any big city to prosper, you have to have a river next to it. I come from Pune. Pune is so fortunate that we have confluence of two rivers, Mula and Mutha. The only exception to this rule on this green planet is city of Bangalore. There is no river next to Bangalore or Bengaluru. And four states are fighting over Kaveri issue. Who will consume what percentage of Kaveri? Had we shifted many of the things back to Mysore, we could have invested or vested. It's entirely up to us to decide. We lack thinking manpower, and that's predominantly because of the British education system that was imposed upon us. We had that legacy, we had that tradition, and unfortunately, we lost it. We are in the era of deep learning, and coding is no more a challenge. So you can very quickly create a deep network. You can write a 7-line code in MATLAB. If you are good in Python, Scikit, Keras, free-line code, and you will have your deep network with you. So creating deep systems is no more a challenge. And something extraordinary was given to us by this genius scientist. Anyone recognizes him? Who is he? Geoffrey Hinton, who won the Nobel Award in 2024 for giving us a very interesting algorithm called as backpropagation in 1986. So, artificial intelligence and generative AI, the journey began in 80s when we got these beautiful algorithms. And that's why, if you really want to understand how these systems they work, it's important to understand the maths behind it. It's important to understand the algorithmic thinking. We all know the learning happens by dot product between input and output. It's typically called as correlation filter in signal theory. And then one of the reasons why this guarantees conversion is because the dot product guarantees orthogonality between the discriminating boundary and the weight vector. You can confirm that all the way. You can write a simple code, and all the while, the weight vector is always orthogonal to the discriminating boundary. But is that enough? Is that enough to guarantee solution to majority of the tasks that we are seeking to perform in Gen AI system? And the answer of this question is not really. So what is it? If we have a problem wherein the discriminating boundary is not linear, it is polygonal like this, what guarantees the convergence? What guarantees correct solution emerging out of our systems? And we have beautiful theorems like perceptron convergence, for example, wherein we understand the weight change has to happen in a specific direction. And the weight change happens by dot product between input and output. So if we consider a simple bipolar system where output is either +1 or -1 and it is mutually exclusive, and we focus only on +1 kind of an output, then by virtue of keeping the things very, very simple, the weight updation would look like this. W1 is equal to W0 plus X0. Naturally, W2 will be W1 plus X1. You plug in W1 from the above formula and you get a very generic formula that W of K is W0 plus X0, X1 all the way up to X of K minus 1. So there are K different input terms. Can we control K down? Can we control K? We want to. Can we control X? We cannot. And can we control W? Absolutely. So we want to control W in order to control K, but we have no control over X. X is our input. It could be text input, it could be images, it could be videos, it could be voice. You can't control it in the modern era. And that's why if we really want to make sure that everything converges within K finite number of iterations, imagine then there are K different terms of a dot product between input and the weight vector. So let small m be equal to minimum of the dot product between x and w star. And if we use the squared norm of this dot product, then squared norm would typically result into, using Cauchy-Schwarz inequality, would result into this, where we have now capital M, where capital M is the max of the squared norm of the input x. And then it all would result into a very neat theorem which says that if the rate at which the k different terms of the dot product between x and w converge faster than the rate at which the squared norm of the inputs would converge, then k is definitely going to remain finite. Now, to be very honest with you, mathematically, this is little incorrect. Why this is little incorrect? And that's because the squared norm does not guarantee 100% retention of energy. However, we understand this very well that if the practical things are kept by keeping the dot product between x and w to minimum, then this will lead us to creating many interesting systems that will guarantee convergence. The reason why I told you all of this is because the generative AI systems are extremely structured. They cannot think out of the box. And trust me, majority of the inventions and discoveries happened because of the serendipity, because of our ability to think out of the box, because of our ability to understand mistakes and convert those mistakes into something beautiful. I'll give you one example and then you Google it and find it out yourself. Have you heard this Bollywood song Chingari Koi Bhadke? It's a song which is composed by R.D. Burman. It's a beautiful song, so you can Google it. The chord, if anyone plays guitar, any one of you, then the guitar chord that is played at the beginning of Chingari Koi Bhadke is musically incorrect. However, it sounds so good to our ear, and R.D. Burman's guitarist made that mistake in one of the rehearsals. And R.D. Burman said, can you repeat that mistake again? Because it's sounding so good and I want to put it at the beginning of this song. The machines won't be able to do this because they are so structured and they don't understand thinking out of the box. They don't understand mistakes and they don't understand how to convert mistakes into something very, very interesting. And that's why, in my opinion, natural intelligence will always have very interesting role to play. I'll give you one quick example. The traveling salesman problem. You all are students of computer science and data science. It's a very classical problem, TSP problem. And we know that it's a Hamiltonian circuit. So it becomes NP hard, NP complete, and unsolvable if total number of cities are little too many. And what is too many? It is governed by NC minus P. We also know this. However, can we think of using a rubber stretched model for solving this problem? Now, rubber stretched model does not fall under the integral. It's a partial derivative system, and if you don't have finite number of maxima and minima, then this model will not converge into something productive. We know this theory. However, if we apply this to total number of cities which are finitely infinite, something very, very interesting can happen. And let me give you a very interesting demonstration. So if the total number of cities are limited, let's say 20 cities, we know it's a very simple problem to solve. And let's first of all solve this problem. And you will realize that, oh, 20 cities, and sure, the rubber sheet model can do the integral which is stretchable, and then it's quite possible to come up with the correct path while moving across the cities in some finite number of iterations. We have kept the number of iterations to 5,000. So this is a very rugged kind of a solution, and it gives us the correct solution, sure. But from 20, if I change the total number of cities, not just to 200, but let's say 2000, we all know that using standard mechanisms in computer science or data science, we will not be able to solve this problem. But if we use a rubber sheet model here, you can ask any generative AI system that should we use a rubber sheet model to solve this problem, and all the engines will tell you no, don't use it, it will not converge and it will not give you the correct solution. However, let's try this. Now there are 2000 cities randomly selected, and it's a crazy, crazy problem to solve, very dense, very tightly coupled, and we will allow all the 5000 iterations to run. And let us see what rubber sheet model tells. And by the way, you can do this experiment in the afternoon. You can give this problem to ChatGPT or any engine which is your favorite, and that engine will tell you that no, this is not going to work. Don't try this. The engine will fail, and you will see whether this works or not. This is the final solution of the rubber sheet problem, and if you allow me to zoom in, you will realize that every city is very neatly covered and the path is very neatly worked out. The sheet model has the integral which is also kept intact, and so TSP is very neatly and appropriately solved using the energy distribution of rubber sheet model. This is completely out of the box thinking. If you give this problem to your engines, they will fail big time. And this is precisely where natural intelligence is going to play a very important and key role. And you can see, you can zoom onto various parts and you will realize that this is completely solved. Very elegant and neat solution. How about extending it further? Our fingerprints, there are minutiae points. Can we consider these minutiae points as cities? And can we use this rubber sheet model for recognizing fingerprints? can we create a finger code using the same concept? You can ask this question to your favorite engine once again, and your engine will tell you that this will not work, and I will tell you that it works. How? Let's see a quick demo. So this is a very simple demo, and you can clearly see that instead of cities, now you have fingerprint minutiae, and you can convert your fingerprint into a biometric signature using same concept, same rubber sheet model. So such kind of extensions and creating applications is sometimes not seen by the engines because they are very rugged, their patterns are very stringent, and sometimes they fail to really see little out of the box kind of thinking. It's also quite possible to mimic the way our brain functions in certain ways. And there are certain areas where these machines they perform better than us. However, when it comes to serendipity, we perform much better compared to these machines. I'm going to share two or three very interesting stories, couple of more demos, and then I'll be done. In 2001,